and welcome. For 258 Nigerians who touched down at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport in Lagos this week, the journey home marked more than a return to their homeland. It was an escape from what many describe as years of fear, intimidation, discrimination, and violent xenophobic attacks in South Africa. As they step off the aircraft, emotions overflow. Some knelt to thank God, others raised their hands towards the sky. A few simply stood quietly, taking in the reality that they had finally made it home safely. Behind those smiles, however, were stories of shattered dreams, abandoned businesses, broken families, and painful memories they may never completely erase. Many of the returnees had spent over a decade building lives in South Africa. They worked hard, paid taxes, raised families, and contributed to their communities. Yet, according to them, everything changed as hostility towards foreign nationals intensified. Among those who shared their experiences was Rafiu Wasiu, a mechanic who spent 7 years in South Africa before deciding he could no longer endure the environment. Speaking shortly after his arrival in Lagos, Wasiu described life as a Nigerian migrant as a daily battle against discrimination and insecurity. According to him, once South Africans discovered someone was Nigerian, fairness often disappeared. He claimed that foreigners were frequently treated as criminals regardless of the circumstances. If anything happens and they hear you are from Nigeria, you are automatically wrong, he said. Even when you are innocent, they will find a way to blame you. Wasiu described an atmosphere where fear became part of everyday life. According to him, criminals could stop foreigners on the streets, demand their belongings, and resort to violence if resisted. He alleged that authorities often fail to adequately protect victims. Even more troubling were his claims of police misconduct. He recounted an incident involving a friend who was allegedly arrested without justification and released only after a substantial payment was made. According to him, such experiences became increasingly common for many migrants. Despite everything he'd endured, Wasiu remains optimistic about the future. He says he plans to rebuild his life in Nigeria and focus on creating opportunities for himself at home. His story is far from unique. Adediran Ayodeji, who spent 13 years in South Africa, described a similar experience, originally traveling abroad to pursue higher education and build a better future. He found himself caught in an environment where foreigners increasingly felt unwelcomed. Ayo Adeji worked various jobs, including as a chef and digital marketer, while pursuing his studies. However, worsening hostility and insecurity eventually convinced him that returning home was the best option. Now back in Nigeria, he hopes to continue his education and pursue a career in the military. According to him, his experiences abroad have strengthened his desire to contribute to national security and help combat terrorism within Nigeria. While some returnees spoke about discrimination, others shared accounts of outright violence. One of the most disturbing testimonies came from Enitan Amao, who described that he called organized attacks against foreign nationals. Having lived in South Africa for 13 years, Amaro claimed that anti-migrant sentiment had escalated dramatically in recent years. According to him, large groups of individuals armed with sticks, firearms, and other weapons allegedly targeted foreign communities. He described an environment where migrants constantly fear becoming the next victims. His most shocking account involved a close friend who suffered a devastating injury during such attack. "A friend of mine lost one of his eyes," Amaro said. According to him, the attack left his friend permanently disfigured. The victim reportedly required emergency medical treatment and eventually received a prosthetic eye. Amaro said it was the employer of his injured friend who helped cover medical expenses and ensure he received treatment. The incident remains one of the many stories fueling concerns about the safety of foreign nationals living in South Africa. Amaro himself has faced significant hardship. He explained that he has been unable to work for the past 2 years due to a serious leg injury sustained while trying to escape what he believed was an imminent attack. Unable to afford the expensive medical procedures required to fully treat the injury, he has been living with the condition ever since. Yet, despite the setbacks, he remained determined to rebuild his life. Another returnee, identified simply as Joy, arrived in Lagos carrying her 10-month-old baby, while her 2-year-old child stood beside her. Her story highlighted the difficult choices many families were forced to make. According to Joy, life had become increasingly difficult for Nigerians trying to earn an honest living. She claimed that even when migrants managed to establish small businesses, they often face harassment, intimidation, and attacks. For her, the decision to leave was driven primarily by concerns for her children's safety. However, returning home came at a painful personal cost. Her husband remains in South Africa, attempting to manage their remaining affairs and sell off assets before eventually returning to Nigeria. The separation reflects the difficult realities facing many migrant families who now find themselves divided between two countries while trying to rebuild their families. The stories emerging from the returnees have renewed calls for stronger diplomatic action between Nigeria and South Africa, while relations between the two countries have generally remained cordial at the government level. Repeated reports of xenophobic violence have periodically strained ties. Nigerian officials have expressed concern over the treatment of citizens abroad and have indicated that stronger diplomatic engagement may be necessary. There are also growing calls for continental institutions such as the African Union to play a more active role in addressing xenophobia and protecting the rights of African migrants across the continent. For the returnees, however, the issue goes beyond politics and diplomacy. For them, the scars are personal. Some left behind homes they spent years building. Others abandoned businesses, investments, and lifelong friendships. Many are returning to a country where they must start over from the beginning. Yet, amid the painful and uncertainty, one thing stands out clearly: they are grateful to be alive. As they begin the difficult process of rebuilding their lives, their story serves as a powerful reminder of the challenges faced by migrants across Africa and the urgent need for stronger protections against xenophobia, discrimination, and violence. Do you believe African governments are doing enough to protect citizens living in other African countries? Share your thoughts in the comments section. Subscribe to First Next News for more powerful stories, in-depth reports, and updates on the issues affecting Nigerians at home and abroad. I am Cassie Tony, and many thanks for watching.